This is a review of the BCW Prime XL gaming box for Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, Flesh and Blood, and other standard-sized trading cards. Expanded and redesigned from the 60-card model, the XL can now hold up to 4 100 double-sleeved decks. Perfect for Commander, as well as double or single-sleeved Modern, Standard, and Legacy 60-card decks, with 15-card sideboards. And of course, decks for games like Pokemon and Flesh and Blood. The XL also features 2 compartments for additional cards, such as tokens, sideboards, equipment, etc., and 2 removable trays that can hold a wide variety of dice, including the oversized deluxe spin downs from gift bundles, Commander Arsenal Life Keepers, and that really big but really cool planner die. And speaking of planechase, the compartments feature removable dividers that can reconfigure the interior to hold oversized cards, unsleeved, sleeved, or even in top loaders. This is great for bringing a planechase deck or for those few eccentric Commander players who love the now discontinued oversized Commander cards. Now there are a few issues with the BCW XL Prime gaming box that I will cover in just a moment, but first, if we were looking at our best alternatives for a latchable gaming case, what exactly are we looking at? Well, top of the list would be this: the Stanley Deep Pro Organizer. The Stanley Deep Pro Organizer, sometimes just called the Stanley Toolkit or Toolbox, is a bit of a legend among Commander aficionados. Designed for storing hardware parts like nails, bolts, nuts, and other building supplies, it just so happens that each of the removable trays perfectly holds a 100 double-sleeved Commander deck. Actually, more than perfectly. You can fit a large, thick Commander deck in here if it has sealable inners or perfect hards. And there's room in the 2 double-wide trays for anything from a deck box like a Satin Tower, to sleeved oversized cards such as your planechase deck, or even just more dice and counters than you could ever possibly need. If you'd like the detailed review on the Stanley, I'll post it in this video's description, or you can click here. It also stands out because it was made for heavy-duty work. It's a thick, double CC thick case, which is going to hold up to the most extreme stresses, ensuring your cards are safe and protected. Since it is literally just a toolbox sold at Home Depot, price is an astonishingly low $19.95. Whereas the BCW gaming box is $24.95, a lot higher than I had hoped, especially considering the 60-card version had been an incredibly cheap $12.99. Going from a 60-card capacity to a 100-card capacity has essentially doubled the price, and I'm not thrilled about that. However, it is also worth noting that the Stanley has become very hard to find at Home Depot, and ordering it via a site like Amazon brings the price all the way up to, wow, $36.25. But price aside, the real contrast between the Stanley and the BCW is size. And I want to assure you from personal experience that bigger is not always better in gaming cases. For example, I recently traveled to an event where I was going to be playing a lot of Commander, but not that much Commander. And I looked at the Stanley and I kind of groaned, thinking, I don't need that many Commander decks for this event, and I really didn't want to deal with going through airport security with it, so instead I took the BCW, which is so nice and compact. I was still able to get my 4 favorite Commander decks, all my side tokens and pieces and accessories, and just place this conveniently, securely in my carry-on luggage. It's great for compactness because you don't always need something as big as the Stanley. On the other end of the spectrum is the KMC Card Barrier 1000, an absolute favorite of mine. Latchable as well, the Card Barrier holds 1,000 single-sleeved cards, or about 700 double-sleeved, and has the very friendly price of $15.99. If you'd like my more detailed review, I'll post it in this video's description, or you can just click here. But the short of it is that, although the Card Barrier holds a lot and costs a little, there is little to nothing more to it than that. It's a solid acrylic box with a secure latch and nothing much more. The built-in compartments are non-customizable, so you'll just have to work around them if you're filling this full of Commander decks. A minor inconvenience, but still an inconvenience. I own a lot of these, and I tend to use them more for bulk storage of special cards, such as my collection of tokens or my favorite basic lands. I've got a card barrier for each of those. Obviously, unlike the BCW, this can't hold oversized cards, but it can hold a lot more cards. But I think it's just fine to have multiple configurations and options because many different players have many different needs, and so there isn't going to be a one-size-fits-all. What we're looking for here is an excellence in quality and design, which obviously all three of these have. However, the Stanley and the KMC are both solid, enthusiastic A's because there are absolutely no problems with either of them, whereas there are a few minor issues with the BCW. Decks are intended to be placed face up, and alongside each is a finger slot to allow you to easily glide the deck in and out of its compartment. This is fine so long as your double-sleeved deck is not too big. Here I have a double-sleeved deck that is completely flat from well over a year of use, in and out of a tight deck box. It allows a small amount of space between the top of the box and the lid, ensuring cards mostly stay in place. But here I have a deck that is newly double-sleeved. So it's got a little bounce to it, and will for some time. And here is a deck that is more than 25% foils, meaning that while it is sleeved in the same brand of sleeves as the others, it's a little bit bigger than them. In these cases, the top cards can far too easily slide over the top of their compartment, even when the lid is closed. I wish these were a little deeper, or the lid designed in a way that completely locked down each compartment. It's a minor issue, not present in the majority of decks, but an issue nonetheless and present in some decks. You can, of course, put most decks in sideways, which 100% solves the problem. It's how I recommend you store your decks in the Stanley, as well as face forward can have a card or two slide out during transport. But removing decks in the BCW is a bit awkward, as you now have to slide them in and out in several pieces. Not a big deal, but worth mentioning. Now, obviously, my double-sleeved Commander deck that is more than 25% blinged out in foils is not going to fit in one of the compartments of the BCW. I actually did bring that deck with me on my recent trip, and what I ended up doing was dividing it between the main compartment and putting several of the cards in the token compartment, and it worked just fine. Is this a major issue? No. Is it a minor inelegance? I suppose. Of course, if you do have decks that, for whatever reason, be it a lot of foils or just thick inner sleeves, are too large for the average deck box, you have the options of the Ultra Pro Satin Tower and the brand new XL line from Gamegenic. I have reviews on those there. I am urging many manufacturers behind the scenes to recognize that most players these days are double sleeving their 100-card decks, and they are blinging them out or using the thickest sleeves available, meaning that we need to start gravitating towards having slightly larger compartments for those decks for these slightly larger than average decks. But keep in mind that all other decks will have no issue here. Your double-sleeved 75-card Modern or Standard deck with sideboard is fine. Your Pokemon or Flesh and Blood deck is fine. Your single-sleeved Commander deck is fine. And even the majority of your double-sleeved Commander decks are fine. And if they are not, nearly all can be turned sideways. I do wish it was just a bit deeper, and I do wish it was just a bit cheaper, but it nonetheless is an excellent product, and for those who are looking for just such an accessory, it is an A-. I hope very much this video has been of some help to you. You can help me out immensely just by sharing this video with a friend, and also by hitting like, leaving a comment, or, best of all, subscribing and ringing that bell. Check out my back catalog of reviews of just about every deck box, sleeve, playmat, and portfolio and binder that's on the market and on the shelves at your local game store. Links in this video's description, or just click on the channel name and scroll back. Who are you?
Don't you recognize me?
Elspeth?
No, I'm Death.
Come on, the channel hasn't been doing that badly. People just didn't care about adventures in the Forgotten Realms.